and welcome to Group 9's presentation for a basic food preservation thesaurus. The term food preservation refers to any one of a number of techniques used to prevent food from spoiling. This can include the more common at-home methods such as canning, pickling, drying, freeze-drying, and smoking, while also including more commercial methods such as irradiation, pasteurization, and the addition of chemical additives. For our thesaurus, we decided to focus on the more at-home methods. Home food preservation takes a lot of knowledge and care in order to have a safe supply of preserved food. The last thing any of us want is to make family, guests, or ourselves sick due to improper preserving methods. It is very easy for foods to become infected if proper measures are not taken while preserving food at home. Therefore, an easy-to-use thesaurus is essential to ensure easy understanding and to be used as a quick reference guide for food preservation. We decided this thesaurus should be hobbyist in nature. The thesaurus was developed for use by the general public, hobbyists, novice food preservationists, and anybody interested in the basics of home food preservation. We wanted to identify what food preservation is and create a thesaurus that was designed for the novice or at-home user. Therefore, simple and easy to understand terms were used, and more complicated, specialized, or scientific terms were excluded, which these terms would encompass the more advanced techniques and methods of food preservation more commonly used in a commercial environment. Once we had an idea of whom this thesaurus would serve, we began term extraction. At this point, we wanted to gather as many terms as possible that were relevant for our audience. We used various sources to obtain these terms. These sources include the National Center for Home Food Preservation, the United States Department of Agriculture, How Stuff Works, and even Wikipedia. Once terms were selected, a facet analysis was conducted. We extracted indexable terms from subject statements and organized these into the following facets: preservation methods, food preservation fundamentals, ingredients, and preservation equipment. These terms were then further divided into subfacets to develop a classified index. As you can see from our example, we started from the facet packing. This facet was subdivided into additional facets including hot packing and raw packing. Once a facet analysis was conducted, we then determined relationships. We assigned thesaurial relationships to terms and established 3 relationship types: equivalent, hierarchical, and associative. For equivalent relationships, we use the U's and UF indicators to identify our preferred and non-preferred terms. For hierarchical relationships, we use the BT and NT indicators to identify broader and narrower terms. For associative relationships, we use the RT indicator to identify related terms. We then organize these alphabetically, starting with the lead-in term, and then following with its broader, narrower, and related terms. If you look at our example here, you can see where we have aging, bacteria, burial, and canning. For aging, it was relationships were established where dry aging was a narrower term, drying was a related term, meat was a related term, and wet aging was a narrower term. Dry aging and wet aging were determined to be narrower terms as these are different types of aging techniques. Drying is a related term because although it is not quite aging, drying is also included in the aging technique. Meat was also included as a related term, as this is a common food that is aged. Once these relationships were established, a notational scheme was applied. For the final phase, we completed a final term selection. During this phase, we removed duplicates and near-duplicate terms. Grammatical forms and spellings were adjusted accordingly. Singular and plural forms were changed to whatever was most appropriate for that term. We then further analyzed compound terms to determine if they should remain compound or if it would be best to separate them into individual terms. Finally, scope notes were then added for term clarification for those terms that are specialized for home food preservation. So in the end, we have created a thesaurus that was dedicated to food preservation for use by home food preservationists everywhere. We hope you enjoyed this presentation, and we hope you have a wonderful day.